today we are full on in cozy vibes. I am sat here on the ground of my bedroom again, and I invite you in to the coziness. I hope you feel it too. Today is another wonderful sunny summer day. Yes, I'm wearing a hoodie. I am very grateful for AC. I feel like, yeah, I'm actually not overheating yet in this hoodie. And for now, it's making me feel cozy and all the good vibes. So here we are. Now, hopefully you clicked on today's video because you're interested in the topic. Today's topic is about finding belonging and what belonging means. And I think these are some very thought-provoking questions, right? Something that we probably each all care a lot about is feeling safe and at ease and feeling like we belong and that we aren't in panic mode or, trying to defend ourselves and out in a scary place, but to feel safe and at home and feel like we belong. So hopefully you'll stay watching this video if you care about topics like these. But first of all, in good old fashion, I'm going to bring you into my life a bit, tell you a little bit about what I've been loving, and all things like that. So to start out, I'm wearing this hoodie. It is actually David's hoodie. I gave it to him. I gifted it to him a few years ago. But like a lot of gifts that you give your partner, you kind of end up taking them back for yourself. But this is from Abercrombie. It's actually like a men's hoodie. But it's just so comfy. And like the inside of the hoodie, the material is just so cozy. And even after so many washes, it's still like one of my favorite hoodies that we have in our closet. So here I am, wrapped up and feeling really nice in this. But yeah, to get into some of my favorites, we're just jumping right in. One of my favorites, so this past weekend, so our pool, as I've mentioned before, is open in our community. But this past weekend was really, really good weather. So it was like in the 80s, almost 90. It was pretty hot. But we just went out to the pool. This was my first pool day of the summer. And I loved it. Guys, I love the feeling of the sun on my skin. And it's really interesting. You know how like often you get tan on like, for example, on your arms, like you get tan on the upper parts of your arms, but not like your underarms. Like your underarms are still like really pale when like on top of your arm, it's really dark. So I've been tanning like my underarms and like trying to get at the places that normally don't get tan when you're out and about. And I realized like I feel an extra amount of comfort when I feel the sun on my underarms than on top of my arms. And I think there is some Eastern medicine thing to that. I actually don't really know. Forget I said that. Don't quote me on that. But there is something about like either the way your veins run or the acupressure points or something. I think that like where like having the sun on those areas it actually like improves your blood flow a lot and like makes you feel warm inside. I don't know how to describe it, but I just wanted to kind of describe like how good the sun felt. Maybe it's just been a while since I've just like sat in the sun and tanned. But yeah, I was having a good old time. And then our pool has this like 6-inch deep part of it. And it has these like lounge chairs where like basically your feet and your legs are in the water. So it like cools you down. But you can still like read a book or like, still do your tanning and you're not like fully submerged. So that's something new that I've never seen before. And yeah, we just swam in the pool and it was just so much fun. And in a previous video I described like I just love like one of kind of ideal day for me is like going to the ocean and being active and showering. And I think a pool day is like a close second, if not tie. And also there's like no sand to worry about. Like we just come back to the apartment and it's like there's not really a mess, but you still shower, you still feel that kind of like sun-kissed feeling. So anyways, we had a nice pool day and it was only just like a few hours like in the late afternoon. It wasn't like a full pool day. But then we came back and then took a shower, and then because we live so close to downtown Princeton and just like shops and restaurants and stuff, it was still bright outside, even though it was like evening, 7 or 8 o'clock. And we just walked out. I was just wearing a sundress, wet hair, flip flops, walked out into town, got some hoagies. Also, the hoagies versus subs debate, very interesting. I grew up in Virginia, so I called them subs growing up. But up here, everyone calls them hoagies, so I'm in hoagie land now. And so we got hoagies. My favorite hoagie is like an Italian sandwich. I love all the various types of Italian meats, provolone, lettuce, tomato, hot peppers, mayo, salt, pepper, oregano, like, and then, yeah, the buns are really good too. So, and then David goes crazy with the hoagie that he gets. Like, you can get all sorts of hoagies, at the place that we went to. And so that was just so fun. And then what else did we do? Had a movie night or something like that. Can't remember. But it was just an all around great summer day. So that was one of my favorites. I hope you were able to like experience some of that like summeriness and like, all the great things. Okay, my second favorite is intergenerational friendship. So guys, I think it's just so underrated to have friends who aren't in your generation. I specifically mean older because I am in a younger generation. Unless I'm like hanging out with kids, which is, I mean, fine if you love kids, which I do love kids. But recently, mostly because of church and just like running into people at different weddings and events, like people I haven't seen in a while, like people who are moms or like, I don't know, just different walks of life, right? And people that I've maybe met more recently. But I think like there's just something very, very refreshing about talking to someone, I'm going to say like specifically who's older and wiser than you and has been through a lot of life stages, because like I think very often in our youth we can feel stuck in whatever like crisis we're going through, or we feel like we're the only ones, and like it's just like really hard to have perspective when you've only lived so much life. And yeah, so recently I've just been going on long walks or having long calls with various people who are older than me, or just like not in their 20s. And it's just been so fun. Like older people can be really youthful too, and like I feel like with technology these days you can actually like talk on a similar level, there's not as much generational gap in some ways. But yeah, so those have been super refreshing, and then you kind of realize like, oh, I'm actually not the only one going through this, or like just getting new perspectives on ways of life and things that you're going through. So I've just really valued that. And I mean, even for younger people too, like when I talk to people in college or people in high school and middle school, again, like I think church helps enable me to meet these people and do these things. But then I like love picking the brains of kids these days. I'm like, how do you survive in this age of social media? Or like, what are you worried about these days? Like, are you worried about, like, how do you think about friends as a middle schooler or as a high schooler? Like I do feel like times are changing really fast. And even though I'm young and feel like, because I kind of grew up in an age of technology, I feel like, oh, the younger kids, they're going through the same thing, but even their lives are so much different than mine. So I feel like it's just important, no matter how old you are, to just get perspectives of people of varying ages. Like if you're on the older side watching this video, like make some friends with people who are out of your comfort zone, because I think it'll really broaden your horizons like it's broadened mine. And then my third favorite I'll talk about today is road trips. And I don't mean the California Pacific Coast Highway road trips I've been talking about. I mean like visiting a family member or visiting a friend or running that errand that you have to run. I feel like these days people have to run errands like, I don't know, the DMV or like whatever it is. And sometimes you have to like drive far for it. And I'm specifically talking about like if there's someone else in the car. I think solo road trips are a different topic, like ways that you can utilize that well and just like really reflect and enjoy those moments you have to yourself. But just recently, like with adult things, sometimes you just have to take a drive to do some errands. Lately, we've had to do that. And it's just been really, really fun. Like when you get to talk to maybe someone you see often, but this is a time where you're not, it's kind of like going on a walk or having a phone call. You're not like sitting face to face, but you're just looking around. And then that's when a lot of like the deepest reflections in life come out. And like Dave and I have just had the opportunity to have these like really cool like protected hours in the car where we can really talk about anything under the sun. And yeah, and it doesn't have to be that deep either, but it can just be really fun to listen to podcasts together and music together. I think just often we have like our own ways of life. And this is just a time to be able to do that with your partner, with your friends, and have like, yeah, non-technology time, or like you're not watching a movie together or anything, but you're just purely talking. And I like to do that anyways. Like that's my favorite form of quality time, is like sitting on the couch with friends and just chatting away. But I think this is just more intentional. It's fun. You can grab a Chick-fil-A milkshake. You can grab a burger from Burger King. You can go to the rest stops and get your snacks. You can like stop along fun places. So I think like, I don't know, it's just like a very simple luxury in life to just drive around and yeah, just spend quality time with people in the car. Okay, so those are some of my favorites today. They're a little bit all over the place, but now let's get into the topic of finding belonging. Now, finding belonging in my life. This is my experience. I have some notes here that will kind of help guide me along. And also specifically the topic of like what I didn't expect, right? And so I'll also mention a bit about growing up and trying to find belonging. So first I want to start off with, what does it actually mean to belong somewhere, right? And I think this is interesting because, I mean, there's a surface level, definition of belonging that you think of right off the top of your head, right? It's like, oh, it's like just to fit in and to not feel like an outsider, to feel comfortable somewhere. But I think much deeper than that, no matter what personality you have or your, emotional capacity or any of these things, or, how into like friendships and romance you are, like I think deep down, each of us as humans have a very deep desire to be loved and to be known, to be understood. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of deep, right? Like, even if you're not a very sentimental person, or maybe even if you've been through some traumatic things in your life, or maybe you're more cynical, like, no matter where you are on the personality spectrum, I think if we're honest with ourselves, like that's where we feel like safe and comforted, is like knowing that someone's in our corner, or multiple somebodies are in our corner. And, but that's hard to come by, right? And so to me, that's what belonging is to satisfy that deep desire of being, and not just known and loved, but like cherished, for someone to like to really like be excited by you, and like to see like the value that you bring, and to see the effort that you put in and the work that you put in, and what beautiful things and things that produces, so I think growing up, we've got school, we've got sports, we've got extracurriculars and the performing arts and visual arts. So there's all these different activities and academic things that we participate in. And I think because we have those, growing up, you have those different strands of what you're involved in. I think belonging in each of those, it just becomes very boxed in, right? Belonging in academics might be like, feeling like you're smart. Belonging on a field hockey team might be I'm athletic and I'm good at the sport and, my teammates like me because of that. Belonging in any types of the arts means that you're talented in singing and dancing and people look up to you and people like maybe envy your ability and your flexibility and how many pirouettes you can do in ballet, right? And all those things. So belonging really is like, do people admire me? Do people like, am I not the odd one out? And I think it's just interesting how boxed in it is because it really is about like our performance and our abilities and skills to measure up and to not like have fallen behind, I guess, right? And I think another thing about that is often I think growing up in those different circles and bubbles that you in those activities that you are participating in, you often feel like you're the only one who doesn't belong. Or you're like, oh, I'm sure that person feels like they belong and I just want to feel like that person. When in reality, like those people that you look at that you think, oh, they probably feel so secure and like on top of the world and have so many friends and everyone looks up to them, they more than likely have the same insecurity. I think if everyone's honest with themselves, everyone has felt that twinge at least of feeling like they don't belong or feeling like they at least need to do something extra or like maintain something that they're already doing in order to maintain their feeling of belonging. And so I think growing up, it can just be really confusing because, you've got all of these fears of academics and extracurriculars and then just feeling like you're popular and just like the standards like socially of fitting in, whether that be like the way you dress, the way you look, the way you do your hair, like how you talk, do boys like you, like all these different factors. And honestly, I empathize with the youth because it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure to grow up in. It's a lot like you were born into a family, you get used to your own household, and then you go out into the world and you're like, how do I make a name for myself? Like, how do I fit in? And it's just a lot, and it's just, but like inevitably that's, because of our nature, that's what we're gonna like feel. Like, I think and everyone goes through that when they go into the world. If they've been homeschooled, then maybe it's when they first start going to like public school after that or something like that, and it's that entering into the world, like who am I, this small person in this big world, and do I fit in, do people like me? And so then you get older, right? And then it's no longer as boxed in. It's no longer just about these, sports and different activities, but you go out into the real world and you've got coworkers, you've got people in like recreational leagues and run clubs and, now and then socially, right? And you're looking for someone to date and someone to marry and all these things. And like, you feel like there's so much people pleasing or, if you are, doing like run clubs or something based around a hobby, maybe it is easier to feel belonging. And that's a great thing. But then outside of those, like especially in the workspace or social life in general, it's like there are no more boxes, right? There's no more like, I need to be this way in order for people to like me. It just becomes open ended, and people are different, and not, you won't be everyone's cup of tea. And so, like, I feel like it's easy to struggle with belonging when now there's no like step by step way to just attain belonging. Like maybe you could when you were a kid, and as long as you're good at this and good at that, like maybe you can feel like you belong in a certain group. And I think, yeah, there's a difference between fitting in and belonging, right? Like fitting in is others oriented. Fitting in is, what can I do so that others don't see me as that like black sheep, like so that others see that I assimilate, and that yeah, I don't stick out like a sore thumb. And belonging, like you can easily fit in but not feel like you belong. I'm going to say that again because I think that actually really like resonates with me. Like fitting in doesn't automatically mean that you feel like you belong. And maybe that's, as someone watching this video, maybe all your life you've been someone who did fit in. You are someone that is easily likable, and that was naturally good at a lot of things. And even to this day, you have a lot of friends. But maybe deep down, you don't feel at ease. Like you don't feel like you could just naturally be yourself in front of your friends and you'd be accepted. Or maybe you go through hard things, or life is messy and there's a lot of ugliness, and it's like, oh, maybe some of your friends disappear when those hardships strike. So fitting in doesn't automatically lead to feeling like you belong. So fitting in is very much others oriented, but belonging is you oriented. Is, do you feel at ease? Do you feel like you have to constantly adjust yourself to fit in, right? And so now I kind of want to get into like, at this point in life, what does belonging mean to me? And this is just mostly like in the workspace, like when I move to a new city, when I meet new people, what does belonging mean to me, and how do I look for belonging? What has worked best for me is like being my most authentic self. And that doesn't just mean like spill all your secrets in the first time you talk to someone or anything like that. But I think being authentic also often means like just asking authentic questions, right? What are the three highs and three lows of your past week? Like, what do you struggle with? What's challenged you in adult life? Or what drives you? Like, just kind of getting down to the more meaningful questions. And often you get other people to open up and share when you open up and share first, right? And so I think for me that, yeah, so that's being authentic, and that's like being like, hey, yeah, I'm imperfect. I think it's cool to see other people actually like open up more when I open up, right? Like sometimes it can feel vulnerable to be like, yeah, I've kind of gone through a hard time, but then that almost automatically I see something click in the other person's eyes, and they're like, wow, I care about you. Like, and I think that creates a more sustaining relationship. So I think in terms of finding belonging in new communities and new relationships, it's like, it's just being genuine and honest, and but being in a loving way. You don't want it to be self-centered, but in a way that cultivates an honest conversation and gets the other person to open up, and makes them feel like you care about them, right? And then so even in the workplace, right, like in a place where sometimes it's a lot of small talk, like I feel like I've just come to know so many people that I care about on a deep level, and even after leaving that place, maybe some of you guys are watching this, like even after leaving that place, like I care still so much about those people, and maybe I hope they think of me too, even people I don't really talk to regularly, but it's because we've reached like a deep level of conversation, even though it is work, and work is not that deep, right? It's not like your personal friendships you met at work, it's for business, but everyone's a human, and there's appropriate times for appropriate topics. You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable by any means, but I've just found that you can cultivate deep and meaningful relationships, but it starts from you being authentic. It starts from, and I'll get into this too, but like it starts from a level of security that you already feel. And then you can make other people feel that security when they're around you so that you can create your little community, even just between two people. So that's kind of what I've found belonging to mean to me in terms of like meeting new people. Now I kind of want to get more into friends and like romantic relationships. Growing up, belonging is like you're trying to find a place, or find people, find a group of people that you relate to, that you're like, oh, they, like, let's say you're very academic focused or academically minded, but you grew up in a place that doesn't really value academics and people think you're weird or nerdy. And then your desire is like, I want to find people who also care about academics and are nerdy with me and find that to be like a lovable trait. I'm just using a random example. But I think that goes for all realms of life, right? Like just finding people that you mesh with and that people who won't judge you. But as I've gotten older, I found that belonging is not about finding that group of people, but belonging is building a life of meaning. And as I've talked about previously, like it's about having magnets for the people who keep you being authentic, who make you feel safe and at ease, who you can grow in life with and share highs and lows. And then like they become your family, like it becomes a deeper commitment. And so I think like specifically with friendships, right? Like sometimes we think of like people we feel safe with to be our romantic partners or like the family we were born into. But like I think that's limiting the realm of relationships. I think having really strong friendships is so important. Having friendships where you feel safe, it's not just hanging out, like doing activities, though that's great and I think very essential to friendships. But deeper than that, it's like you can go over to their place and you can cry. You can go over to their place and do the dishes. You can like go and lie on the couch. You can laugh hysterically about random things without feeling like you might be judged, like basically in a way that you don't feel like you're not really performing, right? You're just being authentic and at ease because you know that they accept you fully for who you are. And so yeah, it's really nice to feel like friendships feel like home, right? And it's not just, oh, they've known me for a lot of my life and they kind of get me, but like people who have been through the trenches with me. And I think sometimes like for you watching this, like if you feel like you don't have very very deep meaningful relationships, that's okay too. Like certain seasons will bring about really strong relationships. And I think for me, going through really hard times, and sometimes that means your inner circle becomes even more inner, and that can be hard, but that's just kind of like seeing, oh, who's going to stick around? Like who really cares and who will be there to help support you and lift you up when you're going through that. And so I think don't worry if you don't feel like you have those people yet, but I think it's important before those hard seasons come to start laying those foundations, right? Laying those foundations of care and of showing love to other people, and not in a forceful way, so that when those like stormy times come, you've got a strong foundation already there. And then you kind of see who sticks around, and then same for other people, right? Like you see, oh, these people I really care about, and when hard stuff comes on them, you rush in to help, not out of like, I should do this, and do I really need to do this again, but like I love them and I love their soul. And now about like romantic relationships. I think, yeah, belonging is interesting when it comes to romantic relationships because maybe like if you're single and you're watching this and you've never dated before, or maybe you are dating and trying to find the person for you, belonging isn't just finding someone who accepts you and wants to be with you and but I think belonging in a romantic relationship is feeling emotionally safe, right? Like not like you're performing, like if you're in the midst of dating, like be yourself. And when you have concerns and when you disagree, say that in a loving way, don't lash out or anything like that. But you want to present a genuine self, and that will carry you, right? Like then maybe you'll let go of relationships earlier that you should be letting go of because they're not healthy, or it's not a good fit, and that'll attract people who will fit into your life because they relate to you, or they see what's going on deep in your soul and they are attracted to that, right? And they love that and they love you for who you are. So anyways, I think it's just important that belonging it's up to you. It's not just finding your person, finding your friends, finding your people, but it's like, who are you going to be when you meet those people? And who are you going to present yourself to be? Are you going to be performing for people? You build a life of belonging for yourself. And now to go into like the deepest layer of belonging. I think this is honestly what's carried me through finding belonging in friendships is we have to feel an ultimate sense of belonging before we try to go find belonging in our people and communities. Otherwise, like what's that going to look like? That's going to look like you're desperate for friends, or like you're desperate for these deep meaningful relationships, and people are like, it's not that deep, right? Like I don't want to have anything to do with this person who's just like nagging at me for a deep friendship. Like no, it starts from me. I feel good, right? Like even when there aren't people, even when the times are uncertain, my relationships are uncertain, my friendships are uncertain, I need to feel a sense of security and belonging. And another thing is like people are imperfect. Like I have to say it, people are imperfect. People are going to disappoint. It's something that we should expect, right? We should not expect perfection from our friends, from our romantic partners, from our family. Like by expecting that, we're already setting them up for failure. And also, we're being self-righteous to expect that because like we are most often going to disappoint our loved ones as well. And so in terms of belonging, it's like we can't find our full sense of belonging in other people, right? Otherwise, we're going to be disappointed time and time again. And yeah, we're not going to ultimately find belonging in those people. And then what are we going to do? Give up because people have disappointed us or hurt us, right? And so I think deep down, like if humans don't have the ability to like be perfect, right? We do have to look towards someone who is perfect and who is going to give us that deep sense of belonging. And so, I mean, it's just really interesting because I mean, I didn't grow up Christian, right? And so, like, I think finding belonging really was like, who likes me and like, who can I get love from, right? From other people. But it's like, it is otherworldly when you experience like love from God and to know that like without doing anything, like without me having to perform a certain way or like reach a certain standard, I'm loved and known and deeply understood by God, who knows my heart better than I do, like who knows my thoughts before I even think them, right? And that just kind of like blows your mind because it's hard for a human mind to even like wrap around that concept of such a perfect love of someone who won't leave us when we are imperfect, when we make mistakes, when we fail, when we are truly, yeah, really bad people. And so if our love towards other people and our seeking of belonging in people and communities here on earth comes from a feeling of already knowing that I am loved and that I do already belong. Like I already belong, not because David says I belong, not because my parents say I belong, but I belong because God says I belong, right? I am loved, I am known. And then when I go out into the world, I draw from that well, right? I draw from that well of, well, I know God loves me, and now I want to go get to know other people, and I want to share with them who I am, and I want to get to know them on a deeper level. And then maybe we cultivate that relationship, and it becomes really strong. And maybe we end up hurting each other down the road, but what will make or break it, right? I've talked about this before, is like not taking that personally and saying, well, now you have disappointed these super high standards I've had on you, and you can't be my friend anymore, right? Like, no. Belonging isn't finding people who are perfect for us, but belonging is finding authentic relationships that flow from a deeper sense of belonging. And so that's been really crucial for me, because it can be really shallow when you're just looking for belonging in this world and just asking for people to be friends with you, right? Like, how are you going to give that love? And it's really hard to give that love when we feel limited, when we feel like I have nothing to give, right? So those are some of my thoughts about belonging. Let me know if you have thoughts, but I think belonging is a very important topic because, like I said at the beginning, no matter what your tendencies are or what your personality is, like, I'm sure if you are watching this video, you want to be loved. You want to feel loved, whether that's in, that one person or in your family or having a lot of good friends. Like, I guarantee that if you're watching this video, you have a deep desire to feel loved and known and understood. And so I think it's important to explore these avenues of, do you feel like you belong even without those people, right? And that concept of already being known and understood. And then how does that flow into being authentic and showing up for other people because you're already loved and known? And then those people see your care for them, and they and maybe that's, they don't want to be in on that relationship, and maybe they do, and when they do, it's such a beautiful relationship. But yeah, it's just really interesting for me to see like how my friendships and relationships have changed over time, throughout my 26 years of life. And I think they've just been a lot deeper recently, and I think it surprised me. It's funny, for those who I worked with before, if you're watching this video, honestly, when I first joined that company, I set harsh boundaries for myself. I was like, Emily, these are work friends, these aren't personal friends. Like, maintain, like, yes, you should always maintain professionalism, like, especially if you're like on the clock at work, but it's like, don't let people in, right? And surprisingly, like, literally from the first day of work, just from getting to know people, and it's not just like, oh, these are extra friends to hang out with, even though they are. It's like, I got to know people on a deep level. And I think it really is a matter of asking good questions and not just skimming the surface, like, people feel known when you ask questions like how are you really doing, right? And what's something you've struggled with recently. But in order for someone else to be vulnerable, you need to start, right? And so anyways, I won't ramble on about this for too long, but hopefully this video made you feel a little bit of coziness or comfort, or gets you to start thinking about, how do you make other people feel comfortable, make them feel like they belong in your presence? And maybe when you start thinking about that, you'll also start to feel like you belong, if that made any sense. Anyways, I'm looking forward to more videos like this. Please let me know what you're interested in hearing about. Yeah, I'm loving that it's summer. I'm loving the sunlight and the warmth, even though I'm wearing this huge hoodie right now. And I'm gonna go get myself a beverage and enjoy the rest of the day. So, thanks for watching along, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.